All right. Hello. This is objective where we are going to find and use the area and perimeter or circumference of polygons and circles. What I really love about this lesson is it's really, really useful in real life, especially when it comes to thinking about the size of spaces. So, for example, if we got a little Piplup here, right? Hey. And Piplup wants to move out on their own and live in an apartment, right? They'd have to consider rent. And something they'd want to think about is how big the apartment is, and the rent that's being paid to make sure that they're not being like overcharged. Okay. So yeah, let's get started. So we'll start with our vocab per usual. Just a reminder of some basic shapes. So we're going to use squares. A square is a four-sided figure where all sides are the same. So I'm going to put congruency marks on those four sides. Also, each side is 90 degrees. So I'll put little boxes there to show that. A rectangle is another sort of four-sided figure, but instead of all the angles inside are 90 degrees. And then instead of all four sides being the same, the sides opposite of each other are the same. So the sides on the top and the bottom are the same length, and then to the right and to the left are the same length. So I'll put congruency marks there to show that. A triangle is kind of like if I took a rectangle and cut it in half. Just a three-sided shape. Okay, and I'm going to make clear too that the height of a triangle, in order to measure how tall a triangle is, we have to pick a side and make it the base, and then it's the distance from that base to the opposite vertex. And that distance has to make a 90-degree angle with the base. And we call that the base, and this is the height. All right, we're going to be dealing with some expressions like this in this lesson. Y is 2 more than X. So Y is equals 2 more than is plus 2, whatever X is. Or X is 2 less than Y. We're going to translate that. So X is means equals 2 less than Y, meaning we got to be 2 fewer than Y. So let's take away 2 from Y. Okay, and then we're going to deal with unit conversions. So just going to fill in some of these units of measurement. So there's 2.4 centimeters in every 1 inch. There are 12 inches in 1 foot. There are 3 feet in 1 yard. There are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. There are 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. There are 100 centimeters in 1 millimeter. And there are 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. All right. So we're going to skip over the figure it out section, but hopefully you'll have a chance to see that later and start to see how like what we're learning can connect to like apartment shopping. We're going to get straight into our key points box. Okay. So we're going to talk about area and perimeter. Area is the amount of space inside a shape. Perimeter is the distance around the outside of a shape. And there's different ways that we can calculate area and perimeter based on the shape that we are dealing with. So if we're dealing with a square, the area of the square is just going to be each side times each other, which is just S times S, so S squared. The perimeter of the square is just adding up the 4 sides, so we can calculate that by going 4 times S. A rectangle, we can get the area of a rectangle by doing length times width. And then we can, for the perimeter, we can add the 2 lengths plus the 2 widths. And then for a triangle, basically because it's half of a rectangle, you would take the base and the height and then you could just divide it by 2. The base and height must again meet at that 90-degree angle. So basically say base times height divided by 2. And then to find the perimeter, there's no formula for that. You just add the 3 side lengths. And it's important to know that all dimensions, so all side lengths, or all lengths that we're talking about within the figure must be in the same unit of measure before you're going to calculate area or perimeter. All right, so here is an example. The perimeter of a bedroom in the shape of a rectangle is 46 feet. If one wall is 12 feet long, what is the area of the bedroom? So what is the question asking for? The area of the bedroom. We're given the perimeter of the shape of a rectangle is 46 feet. So I'm going to draw out that my rectangle here, and the perimeter is 46 feet. And then if one wall is 12 feet long, so I'll make these two 12 and 12. It says, what is the area of the rectangle? Well, before I can find the area, I have to find the width. So I'm going to call that missing dimension like x. And now I know perimeter is when I just add my two lengths and my two widths. So I'll add 12 plus 12 plus x equal to 46. Right? If I solve that, 12 plus 12 is 24 plus 2x equals 46. Subtract 24, subtract 24. You're going to get 2 x's equals 24. 46 minus 24 would be 22. Divide by 2, and you're going to get x equals 11. So that means these side lengths got to be 11. Which makes sense because 12 plus 12 is 24 plus 11 is 46. Now it asks for the area of the bedroom. So area is length times width. So area is going to equal 12 times 11. That's going to equal, what, 132 feet. And then we're going to add at the end a feet squared. We're talking about square feet. We're basically talking about if we were to break, this is into 12 units and this is into 11 units, right? How many total squares are there? All right, next we're going to deal with a triangle. This says find the area in square yards of triangle QSR. So first of all, triangle QSR is this triangle. What does it want and what's the area? So area is base times height divided by 2. All right, so my base and my height must meet at that 90-degree angle, right? So I'm noticing a 90-degree angle here. I'm meeting the 6. But this is not part of this triangle. But if I extend this 4, and I imagine it extended here, it would make a right angle with this height here. So these are going to be my base and my height of the triangle. Like this base would meet this height at a 90-degree angle. Something else I'm going to notice before I get started is that this is in feet and this is in yards. So I'm going to need to convert feet into yards. How I can do that is if there's, go back to my conversion chart, it said there was 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. I'm going to set up a little proportion. 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So I want yards. I have feet. So I'm going to cross multiply real quick. 18 times 3 is 1. That leaves me with 3. X equals 18.3. So I'll divide by 3. I'll divide by 3. And in this case, you'll get x equals 6.1. Would you do that division? Okay, so that means my base is 4 and my height is 6.1. This is 6.1 yards. Okay, and so now I'm just going to do my formula. I'm going to do 4 times 6.1 and divide by 2. When I calculate that, do 4 times 6.1 then divide by 2, I'm going to get 12.2. Let me actually calculate that first. If I do 4 times 6.1, I get 24.4 divided by 2. 24.4 divided by 2 equals, 24.4 divided by 2 equals 12.2 yards. And again, squared because we're talking about area. Okay, cool. Let's jump to our medium practice. All right. or jump to our next key points box. Next, we're going to talk about circles. So a circle is all the points that are a fixed distance from a given point, which is the center of the circle. The radius we call the distance from the center to the edge of the circle. So that's in blue there. A diameter is a segment that extends, with endpoints on the edge of the circle that pass through the center. So a diameter would be like a segment like this. It's passing through the center of the circle, and then it ends at the edge of the circle. The segment has endpoints on the edge of the circle. Okay. Now circumference is the distance around the outside of the circle. Sorry, I'm looking for a pen. Okay, here. So this is the circumference. Okay, and I'm going to tell you right now the formula for circumference is 2 pi, which just stands for 3.14, times the radius, or 2 radius will always equal 1 diameter, right? Like the distance from center to edge is 2 radius, so like 1 diameter. So you could just do pi times the diameter to find the circumference, either way, okay? Whereas the area is the space inside. So area is like all of this space inside, right? This is the area, the orange is the circumference. How you find the area is this formula called pi r squared for circles. So you take pi, 3.14, while a lot of times the radius squared. So it has a circle has a diameter of 6 feet. What is the area and circumference of the circle? So it wants area, which is pi r squared, and it wants circumference, which is, I like to do pi times diameter. It says it has a diameter of 6 feet. What is the area? So I'm just going to plug this in. So area equals pi 6 squared. 6 times 6 is 36 times pi. Area is going to equal, I can leave this 2 ways. I can say 36 times pi and put 36 out front, almost like a coefficient. It's just saying 36 times 3.14. I can also change that to a decimal by just like punching that in my calculator. So 36 pi is about 113. Whoops, you guys, scratch everything I just said. I made a mistake. I plugged in the diameter, not the radius. My bad. Area is equal to radius squared. So diameter is 6. The radius is half of that, so 3. So I should have done 3 squared. 3 squared is 9, and so the answer is 9 pi, not 36 pi. My bad. Okay, as a decimal though, it's going to be 9 pi is about 28.3 feet squared. Feet squared. You can leave your answer in either way. This is exact, and this is like approximate. Now the circumference is just equal to pi times the diameter. So I can do pi times 6 is the diameter, so I'm going to do 6. The circumference, we can just literally leave it as 6 pi feet. Or let's find that as a decimal. It would be about 18.8 feet. Oops, sorry, and that should be, nope, this should be feet. Okay, it's not feet squared because we're not talking about like square units. We're talking about a distance that we could lie out like straight. Okay? All right, and we're going to jump to the last key points box, where we're going to start dealing with how we find dimensions given area and perimeter. So we just learned how to find area and perimeter given dimensions about our shapes. Now we're going to kind of work backwards and find dimensions if we're given area or perimeter. So let's read this. The width of a rectangle is 2 feet less than the length. If the perimeter of the rectangle is 46 feet, what is the area of the rectangle? Okay, so to do this, I'm going to draw out a situation, or draw a picture of the situation. So we've got the width of a rectangle is 2 feet less than the length, and the perimeter is 46 feet. So I've got this missing information, right? I don't know the width or the length, right? So I don't know these dimensions. I just know the perimeter. I am going to use a variable to represent the missing dimension. So I know the width is 2 feet less than the length. So take away 2 from the length. So I can represent the width as L minus 2 and L minus 2, and then let's call the length. And then I'm going to set up an equation to solve for missing information. So if I know the perimeter is 46, I can say, okay, well, L minus 2 plus L minus 2 plus L, me adding those 4 side lengths up, it has to equal 46. So 1, 2, 3, so I'm going to solve for that. So 1, 2, 3, 4 L's minus 4 equals 46. I'm going to cut some time and I'm just going to tell you I solved this, and I got L equals 12.5 when I did. Now, that doesn't answer my question. I want the area. So to find the area, I need to find the width. So the width is going to equal 12.5 minus 2. So width is going to equal 10.5. Okay, now to find my area. Area is length times width for a rectangle, so I'm just going to do 12.5 times 10.5. And you're going to get area equals 131.25 feet squared when I calculated that. Okay? Let's look at this example. The area of a circle is 36 pi units. What is the circumference of the circle? So, same thing. I know area is equal to pi r squared. That's what I'm given. What's the circumference of the circle? So I need to know ultimately the radius or the diameter to figure that out. So I've already kind of used, let's solve for my radius. If I'm given the area, I can say, okay, well 36 pi in this case is equal to pi r squared. Get rid of my pi on both sides, like they can just cancel out. I'm left with r squared equals 36. Take the square root to undo the squaring, and you're going to get the radius equals 6. So that means the diameter must equal 12. So then to find my circumference is pi times diameter, or 2 pi r. So circumference is going to equal to 12 pi units. Okay, and I know that was a lot. We'll have a chance to practice more in class, but that's it. Hope that made sense.